You might recognize Boris Johnson even if you don't follow British politics. That's because he's made quite a reputation for himself as an outrageous, bumbling politician with questionable hair. And now, that same reputation has helped him become a frontrunner in the race to become the next Prime Minister of the UK.
We can get Brexit done and we can win.
Boris Johnson had a very posh upbringing. He went to the same all-boys school as Prince William and Harry, and attended Oxford with the former Prime Minister David Cameron. But despite all that, Johnson's known as an unpolished figure whose charm and unconventional style has allowed him to transcend party lines and increase his popularity. Johnson entered politics in the 90s and won a seat in Parliament in 2001. He then went on to serve 2 terms as the Mayor of London. And a Conservative winning a left-leaning city like London was a pretty big deal, especially because the Conservative Party hadn't been in power in more than a decade. During his time as mayor, he was known for presiding over the Olympics, implementing London's bike-sharing program, now known as Boris Bikes, and backing far-fetched infrastructure projects like a garden bridge and an island airport. Johnson returned to Parliament in 2015, announcing he wouldn't run for re-election. And as his time as mayor was coming to an end, Brexit campaigns were just getting underway.
We are approaching one of the biggest decisions this country will face in our lifetimes. The choice is in your hands.
Johnson split with Prime Minister David Cameron to join the Leave camp and quickly became the face of the campaign.
I think we should take the chance now, as a country, to take back control.
Then the referendum finally happened.
The UK has voted to leave the European Union.
The Leave campaign won by a narrow margin, and Cameron resigned.
I do not think it would be right for me to try to be the captain that steers our country to its next destination.
That kickstarted a new race for the leadership of the Conservative Party, who would then go on to become Prime Minister. Many people thought this was Boris's chance. If he could just pull this off, he'd be in charge of implementing Britain's split from the EU, the cause he had been championing for months. But then his campaign manager, Michael Gove, betrayed him by running against him, stealing his support and forcing him to withdraw from the race. But Gove didn't get very far, and Theresa May was confirmed as the leader and Prime Minister in July. And despite the fact that May was a Remainer, she promised to start the process for Britain leaving the EU.
The Article 50 process is now underway.
She made Johnson her foreign secretary, essentially making him Britain's top diplomat. And during the nearly 2 years in that role, he offended a lot of people. He joked that the only thing Libya has to do to attract business is clear the dead bodies. His comments about a woman jailed in Iran were then used by the regime as proof she was spreading propaganda, so she's still in jail today. He called the entire continent of Africa a country, read a colonial poem in Myanmar, and insulted a handful of European countries. Johnson eventually resigned as Foreign Secretary in 2018, fueling the all-consuming dumpster fire that Brexit has become.
Just Brexit, that's it. There's nothing else going on here right now. Everything is about Brexit.
Now fast forward to this year. Theresa May has resigned after not being able to get a Brexit deal through Parliament, launching yet another leadership race.
It is, and will always remain, a matter of deep regret to me that I have not been able to deliver Brexit.
And this time, it's Boris's race to lose.
After 3 years and 2 missed deadlines, we must leave the EU.
So him and other candidates are saying, oh, we'll leave with no deal. We're prepared to do it because we have to leave because that's what people voted for. But Parliament won't let that happen because there's still a majority of MPs, including some Conservative MPs, who don't want that to happen. And they'll trigger a general election before October 31st to prevent it. But, you know, everything is completely unpredictable with Brexit, so everything is unprecedented.
He is already the frontrunner, despite being pretty tight-lipped since May's resignation. But we know from past leadership races, especially ones involving Boris Johnson, that literally anything can happen.